Just starting this canvas here, Ultramarine Blue, a little bit of white and Manganese Blue. So a complementary color of yellow is purple, and I want to gray this purple down so it's just not so vibrant. Using a medium called Retarding, which just prolongs the drying time of acrylics, so I can blend that in to the other colors, just kind of blend it in there in a soft way, sort of a round way, because it's clouds and it's fluffy. Start of a very dramatic sky with some dark clouds. I am just adding some dark here and there, which is Dioxazine Purple and Ultramarine Blue with a little bit of yellow to mute it. I usually draw things in the very basic shapes, and these are going to be some mountains here. It's paint with a lot of water. You know, this will just be the outline of it. Your color here, Alizarin Crimson and Cadmium Yellow. And less is more, because you do not need a lot of color with these very strong colors. So I'm going to start giving some definition to this sunset. Really strong colors in here. I'm going to add some white. Some big gobs of white to that. And we've got a lot of drama here in the sky, which is what I'm after. Of course, we'll soften it up as we go along. Some people would say don't mix your colors on the canvas, but in this case I want to mix these in. Maybe that would be for a portrait. I don't know. You know, there's so many different tips out there. So in clouds, yeah, I really like that dramatic look. Just taking a bird's eye view. So I'm just using a wash, which is, you know, paint with a lot of water. And this is going to be dark, so I can have some contrast. Maybe I'll put some far, far away mountains there. That's an idea. You just come up with ideas of when you're painting. Yeah, it comes to you. So you see, blue and yellow makes green, and I'm just drawing in this mountain because I want it to be kind of bluish. It's going to match another painting, and I'm doing the same thing on this side. Just adding some foreground, which, yep, there it is, there's a start. I'm just using up the colors that I have in my Stay Wet palette, because I'm walking out the door soon, and there's going to be a lot of va-va-voom nature in here, and this could be a typical Turkish landscape. Oh wow, look at that. Okay, it's getting there. And some on this side as well. Just adding a bit of lights and darks in this mountains. I mean, boy, I envision this to be really beautiful. The dark areas, so you have some highlights to go with. And yeah, you don't want it all, you know, the same color. Kind of a little happy accident, and just this background mountains. Just adding white to cover up some of that background with some cadmium yellow medium. Very strong color. Sun's going to be setting in this area. Adding some strong highlights since I have this strong color on my brush. Areas of the clouds, which adds a little bit more definition or contrast. This is why sunsets are a favorite, because there's such a beautiful variety of color and different color combinations with just a few colors actually, and I think they're relatively easy to paint if you're a beginner. So yeah, I'm toning down this color by adding just a little bit of purple to it to tone that down. Also, it's darker. You know, the sunset reflected in the water is a bit darker than the sky. You know, cadmium yellow is a super strong, where's it at? Super strong kind of color. And that purple just kind of de-intensifies it a little bit. Darkens it, maybe makes it look more real. My palette, my style is already very, very bright colors. And we don't want it to look garish. It looks a bit red, maybe needs to be a little more yellow-purple. Of some trees, using this flat brush, kind of an up and down, just tapping motion, trying to add some reflections, and I will paint some lines indicating water over that. This is my process. There we go, with a little bit of atmospheric perspective. There's always a bit of fog, and I love that. I just love that part. You know, these are the same kind of tips I use all the time, and it makes a big difference. It's in a Thalo Blue with the yellow oxide, and I'm just tapping, you know, in an upward motion, my favorite kind of brush. This slanted flat suggestion of some trees in here. Fine-tuning with this small brush here. All right, adding some very small details, a little bit of contrast. Sun come down here. Just dragging my dry brush over that. Give that a sun-kissed look. Little marks with my little brush. Straight marks, right? They should be going straight. And here's a close-up, right? Got some purples in there as well. You started adding a few colors in the foreground and a little bit of detail. Doesn't that just pop? So here's my mountain. It's got a few rocks sticking out here. Going back and adding a few darks here and there. There's a highlight side and a dark side. A few highlights on the sides of these cypress trees where the sun would be kissing them, right? Tiny bits of sunlight. Less is more. A bit of white added to my cadmium yellow here. It's the same formula I use all the time. Now adding some highlights, some of this sun-kissed look to these cypress trees, doing a little bit in the background here, and the foreground, adding some bushes right in here. Just a little bit of different colors. My method of making reflections in the water in a sunset, and let some of that color shine through the background color, which is the sunset color, because this is water and it's not going to, you know, reflect exactly because of foreshortening, right? You're going to have, you know, there's an angle there, and it's not the same angle, like it's a direct mirror reflection in that case. But it gives the impression of a reflection. That's my style here. Beautiful colors. Wow. Centers look three-dimensional. So I have a dark middle tone and a highlight on the front of these faces a little. Even though they're very small, they're in the foreground, they should have some detail. The lightest part of these leaves on the top, and I will leaves rather, the petals of these, then I will put the, you know, the underside of them in a little bit darker color, because light's not getting to the bottom of this flower, right? So I'm in the foreground. I am using some really strong colors and kind of full strength colors I haven't used yet in here, which is Thalo Green and Cadmium Yellow Light, which makes those very deep greens and yellows. Yeah, a little bird's eye view of what I'm doing so far. Yeah, that adds some real pizzazz to this painting. So I get in the zone and I forget to film. So I got in the zone here and I really like what I've done here. I thought, should I take a chance? You know, I can always get rid of that. But the fact that I added these two cypress trees ties that together with the other side. And I see this manganese blue, which is part of the sky. I always like to add a bit of the colors that are some other place, and boy, does that look great. Crimson and cadmium yellow light. I'm going to put that right around the sun. I think I need to use a little bit smaller brush because that's that intense warmth. And we don't want it to look like a kindergartner made it. So we've got, yep, okay, that's working. Making that shine. Just adding a few little dots there, since I've got this pure white on my brush. And that just shines, doesn't it? A little bit here, less is more. And a few little spots. Make that come alive. I think I'm about done. All I have to do is put the words on it, but I'm going to take a photo of it as it is.